God would not put that idea in your head if he did not think you could reach it. I'm going to have a very candid conversation that I wish someone would have had with me when I was first starting in my online business. And yes, it's going to get real, but I'm going to try my best to show you that God is faithful, and he would have never, ever put that idea in your head if he was not committed to doing it with you and for you. Okay, so listen, I was broke, okay? Before I started my online business, I was completely broke and struggling and living paycheck to paycheck and wondering how am I going to pay my bills, much less give my children the life that they deserve. And I had no idea. And I'll tell you the story of when I made my first $1,000 online, because it was an incredible story. You know where I was? I was door dashing. Okay, I was door dashing. And if you've ever door dashed, you know that it is a hustle. It is not fun. It is not something that I would recommend to anybody, because you are driving around for hours and hours at a time for a couple, you can make $100 in a day if you work all day long. $100 in a single day. If you drive around miles and miles and miles and miles and miles, putting gas in the car and getting little tiny tips, okay? And you can make about, if you're lucky, a good day is $100 a day. Now, it could be different for other states, but I live in Florida. Where I live, in the area that I'm in, it's like a good day if you make over $100. Okay, $100. So I was completely broke, and I was driving around door dashing. And if you've ever door dashed, you know sometimes the orders can just stop, so you have to park somewhere and wait for your next order to come in. So I parked in a Pizza Hut parking lot. I'm completely broke, but you know what I was doing? I was praying to God, just praying, Lord, help me. You know how when you're desperate, you're praying like, God, help me with this. And the next thing I know, as I was sitting in that parking lot, just feeling completely hopeless, my bank account practically zero, just trying to make enough money to get by, okay? I receive a notification that says, it's like, bloop, so-and-so just paid you $997. And let me tell you, when I received that notification this is the very first time one single human being paid me $1,000 online. I had never met this person before this. They paid me $1,000 for what I could teach them. And when I received that notification, I just started praising God. I couldn't control myself, because I went from having nothing, from hustling for hours just to make barely a penny, and then having $1,000 in my account in an instant from someone online. And this is a wonderful person, by the way. She still receives my mentorship today. And she paid me $1,000 to learn what I could teach her. And I just got out of the car right there in the parking lot, and I just started jumping up and down, praising God. And I called my dad. I said, you won't believe what just happened. And I told him the story. I was door dashing. I had nothing. And boom, now I have $1,000 in an instant. It's such an insane, dramatic difference. But here's the deal. That happened to me, but it wouldn't have never happened had I not invested in mentorship earlier that year. Because earlier that year in January, I paid $2,500 out of our tax return to get mentorship from a woman who is a God-made millionaire, right? And I got mentorship from her because I prayed and asked God to send me a mentor who could teach me the things that I want, that would lead me where he was leading me to build wealth for my family and do it all online. And he sent me her, and I invested. Imagine the conversation with my husband. Hey, hon, You're so excited about the tax return because you're going to buy this, and that, everything that he had planned. He had plans for this money. And I just say, honey, listen, I want to take $2,500 of it, which is the majority of it, and I want to invest in coaching. I want to pay somebody this money. Now, if you have a less than supportive spouse, they would have been like, you're insane. You're crazy. There is no way we're taking this money and giving it to someone else for mentorship. Are you kidding me? But my husband, he's a great man, okay? He's supportive. He's been supportive of my dreams all this time. He said, okay, I trust you. I trust God. Let's do it. And we did it. And then that first 1,000 came in, okay? And I could tell you a story about when my first $2,000 came in when I was sleeping. And a $2,000 notification came in while I was literally sleeping in my pillow. Underneath my pillow, my phone vibrated. So-and-so paid you $2,000. And it's this shift because think about it. Most people work an entire month to make $2,000. That's probably bare minimum wage, right? Some people work an entire month, working 40 hours a week, 40, 80, 90, 120, 160 hours a week, a month. Or my math is probably so off, but you get the point. They spend a lot of time to make $2,000, and I made $2,000 in an instant, $1,000 in an instant, when I could have sat there and worked for DoorDash for an entire week and not even been close to 1,000. So the point of this message is that God will do it for you. He would never put that dream in your heart if he wasn't intending to bring it to completion. God's word says, the work that I started in you, I will complete. I will finish the work. So that dream on your heart, he never would have put it there had he not intended to complete it. But this is the thing. Had I not invested in that mentorship and put in some real work, because I had invested hours and hours and hours and hours and hours into working and doing exactly what my coach told me to do. She said, do this, I did that. She said, do it like this, I did it like that. Because obviously, if I knew how to do it, I would have been able to do it before hiring her. But because I listened to God, I was obedient to God, and I listened to my coach, that is why ultimately I got paid that money. And now something's wrong if I don't make a couple $100, if not a couple $1,000 a day. And this has become my new normal, but it never would have become my new normal had I not invested in mentorship, and had I not done the work that my coach told me to do, and had I not trusted God that he was going to return everything that I had invested, the time, the money, the energy. He was going to return every single thing and bring his work to completion. So again, if you are receiving this message, you're like, this is confirmation that God is going to do it for me. He never would have put this dream in my heart had he not planned to complete it. Then comment below and just say, this is for me. I needed to hear this. And then take the action. Do what God has called you to do. If you're seeing someone who is a coach and you're like, they can probably get me the result, go to God in prayer and wait until God says yes. But when he says yes, that is the correct coach, that is the correct program, then you have to move. Okay, you have to take the action. You have to put your money where your mouth is. Then you have to work and do exactly what your coach is telling you to do to get the result. Because ultimately, if you don't partner with God, you won't be able to God won't be able to bring to completion what he wants to do for you. And so I hope this was helpful. If you liked the video, or if this spoke to you, comment, let me know what stood out to you most. Share the video if you want. But ultimately, God will do it. He done it for me, and he will do it for you.